Hola Donna. In this video, I'll give you some study tips for exam number 2 in SPAN 1010. Okay, so let's start off with the vocabulary, and to memorize that, I'd recommend either in your textbook or in the e-text to go to the last page of each, in this case, chapter 2. Okay, so what you want to do is say the word aloud while you're thinking the English translation. So el abuelo, la abuela, and while I'm doing that, I'm thinking grandfather, grandmother. After you've done that a couple of times and you're starting to get them, repeat in the same way, el abuelo, la abuela, but think grandfather, grandmother, and then you can check at the end. So that's a real efficient way to memorize it. Now, as far as practicing for the vocabulary, go to your MindTap, and there's activities that are assigned as well as activities that are for practice. So do the ones that are assigned, of course, that count towards grade. And then there will also always be practice activities, and you can complete those as well. Now, only complete the practice activities that are labeled practice it. Don't do the ones that are labeled use it, because those are open-ended, and you would need feedback from me. I could give it to you, but you need to make an appointment or come to my office hours as far as going over your work. I'd recommend doing the ones that are machine graded to get some immediate feedback. And by the way, you can do that for all the, I'm going to go through the 4 grammar sections. There's 4 grammar sections and 2 vocabulary sections for each chapter. So you can repeat that for all of them. So we're going to talk about possessive adjectives. So again, once you've gone over the information in the textbook, and also the video lecture, of course, I post, you want to do the activities that are assigned. They can also do the activities that are unassigned. Note that if you're looking in the rolling week view, okay, that's just what's due for this week, you won't see those practice activities. But if you go into the regular view, the unit view, which is the default, when you open up MindTap, you'll be able to see the practice activities, okay? Okay, let's go to the e-text. So for possessive adjectives, note that the possessive adjective always agrees with the thing possessed and not the possessor. So mi hermano, my brother. The thing possessed is singular. We're going to use the singular form. Mis hermanos, the thing possessed in this case, brothers, is plural. So for that reason, we're going to use the plural form. Note that nuestro, the nuestro forms, the nosotros forms are going to have 4, so it's agree in gender and number with whatever it modifies. So when we see primo, that's masculine singular, we'll use nuestro. When we see primas, that's feminine plural, we'll use nuestras. Okay, so practice those with the MindTap activities and let me know if you have any questions about that. Okay, so for AR verbs, these are all regular. They're all formed in the same way. So it's really not necessary, in my opinion, to make flashcards to practice and all, but I do recommend that for any irregular verbs that are introduced. If you can recognize these as regular, then you'll be fine because they're all formed the same way. You do need to memorize what their meaning is, and these are included in the vocabulary list. So they're all formed the same way. We're going to drop the AR in this case, and then we're going to add the forms to make the conjugation. Por ejemplo, yo llego, tú llegas, usted llega, nosotros llegamos. Don't worry about vosotros y ustedes llegan. Note that the subject here is él, ella, usted, but it could also be anybody or anything in the third person singular. Por ejemplo, mi hermano llega a tiempo. Same thing here, ellos, ellas, ustedes, but also anybody or anything in the third person plural. Por ejemplo, mis hermanos llegan temprano. Now, you asked about sentence structure, so let's look at this. One of the main things I'm looking for at this point is the subject agreeing, the conjugation for the verb, let me rephrase that, the verb being conjugated in agreement with the subject. Okay, so in this case it's él, and note that él is right there. We're going to use that conjugation, okay, or that ending, let's say. This is necesitar, so to form that, we're going to drop the AR in necesitar, and there it is, okay. We'll drop that, and then we'll add the A. So we get él necesita viajar mucho. Now note here we have 2 verbs put together, okay, or 2 verbs right next to one another. So the first verb is going to be conjugated, the second verb is going to be in the infinitive, that is to say in its unconjugated form. So anytime you see that construction, por ejemplo, ellas desean estudiar inglés, 2 verbs right next to one another, you can have the first verb conjugated, second verb in infinitive. Okay, so yeah, I'd recommend to practice conjugating those in MindTap. Make sure to do all the activities. You are going to be writing a short essay on the exam, in which case you'll have to form some sentences. So one of the main things I'm looking for, as I mentioned, is the subject agreeing with the verb conjugation. Okay, so yo estudio, and then there's going to be the rest of the sentence, en la universidad. Okay, yo trabajo en un restaurante. So for the rest of the sentence, so focus on getting the verb conjugated agreeing with the subject. But for the rest of the sentence, take note of all the activities you're looking at in MindTap and also the examples that are given in the textbook. And that's pretty much what I'm looking for now. Just similar to what's being given in the homework and in the readings. And you can kind of play with that and rearrange it in the essay to describe what you'd like to. So let's take a look at the third grammar section. And that is tener with tener expressions. So for this, now this is an irregular verb, so I'd recommend to make a flashcard of that, and we're going to start seeing a lot of irregular verbs being introduced. So for those, I do recommend doing flashcards. Yo tengo, tú tienes, él tiene, nosotros tenemos, y ustedes tienen. So to use these phrases, all you need to do is conjugate tener in agreement with the subject, and then this all stays the same. So make sure you memorize these. You can associate this phrase in Spanish with this phrase in English, because a lot of times I see students forgetting to memorize these, and I do have 4 questions on the exam for that. Okay, let's look at some examples. Mis hermanos tienen frío. So hermanos is the subject, okay, and that is going to go along with the third person plural, so we use that form. Mis hermanos tienen frío. Okay, my brothers are cold. Literally, my brothers have cold. In this example, mi hermana tiene sueño. Now, it's mi hermana, that's third person singular, so we're going to use tiene, this form. Now, note that this does not change to sueña or something like that. These are not going to agree in gender and number with whatever they modify. Okay, we'll use them just as they are, and all you have to do is conjugate tener, agreeing with the subject. Okay, last section. Okay, for adjective placement, adjectives are generally going to be placed after the noun they modify. So if you're unsure, go with that. But there are some exceptions. And what we're given for that is mucho, poco, and varios. And these are adjectives that denote quantity, and they're going to go in front of the noun they modify. Por ejemplo, muchos estudiantes estudian francés. And note that estudiantes is plural, so we're going to use muchos. Okay, tengo varios libros para esta clase. Okay, I have several books for this class. An adjective of quantity is going to go in front of the noun it modifies. Hay pocos estudiantes en clase hoy. Estudiantes is the noun being modified, so we'll put pocos in front of there. And note that it's estudiantes, plural, so we're going to use the plural form. Bueno, malo are also generally placed in front of the noun they describe, but they drop the O in front of a masculine singular noun. Por ejemplo, él es un buen estudiante, while ellos son buenos estudiantes. Same thing with, and malo is also going to agree. It'll agree in gender and number with whatever it modifies. So in this case, it's clase. Clase is feminine. Okay, it's also singular, so we're going to use the singular feminine form. Es una mala clase. So those are the examples, the exceptions we're given. Apart from that, place the adjectives after the noun. Some will agree in gender only, some will agree in quantity only. Okay, there's say singular or plural, and then some agree in gender and number, and those are going to be the adjectives that end in O. Now, one last thing I wanted to point out is that in Spanish, unlike in English, we do not use that third comma, the comma right before the connector in a series of things. We have three nouns here, three adjectives. So, el profesor es un hombre honesto, comma, serio, no comma, e inteligente. Okay, in English, we'd say the professor is an honest, comma, serious, comma, and intelligent man, so we leave that comma out in Spanish. And by the way, this is normally E, as in Y, the letter Y. Since this has the same sound, that Y becomes E. Okay, and that's just to separate the two sounds. Otherwise, it'd be serio y inteligente, so it becomes serio e inteligente. Okay, please let me know if you have any questions. I also have office hours from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock tomorrow if you'd like to drop in and give me your questions then. Gracias. Adios.